Next, our reporter Julie Buin catches up with Linda McCallum. She is the director of the OutCare Foundation. They have been supporting aging at home initiatives for many, many years now. And of course, they've had to change the way that they deal with their seniors.
The pandemic has hit our elderly population really hard. Can you share a story about what that looks like from the inside?
Well, I have had a friend, a fellow realtor, who had battled cancer, had surgery 2 years ago. We really thought it was behind us, and he collapsed late in February at home, was rushed back into hospital, and it was discovered that the cancer had spread. It was in his brain. He was never going home. COVID hit. We couldn't see him. They wouldn't let us in the hospital. Then he was transferred to Bruyere for the last bit of his life, and we couldn't see him in Bruyere because their policy, or at that time, I shouldn't say their policy, at the time, we were told that there wouldn't be visitors until the last 72 hours. Barry slipped into a coma and was gone in 48 hours. We were never given that opportunity. He was greatly loved by so many people, and to not be able to be there was really, really difficult because we'd been there with him for decades, every day in our lives.
So OutCare Foundation over the years has focused on a number of initiatives for palliative care. Can you describe what some of them are?
And we now want to help more people achieve that goal of being comfortable and at home and at ease in their final days with the stuff they know and they like around them. It's so much less stressful on all parties concerned if you're not worried about rushing down to that hospice, waiting for that phone call, making sure that you're organizing the schedule for who can be there and who can't be there. I've been through this. I know that having home hospice care is actually the ideal. It's what I would want. It's what I would want for anybody I loved and cared for.
With the pandemic, you've had to change the sort of nuts and bolts of what the foundation is funding. Mm-hmm. Where is the new focus going?
We reached out to our day hospices because they all have lending cupboards. So if you are trying to be at home, they would have walkers, bedside commodes, beds, lifts, all sorts of equipment. And when COVID hit, they couldn't take it back. Now that's traumatic on a lot of levels. If your loved one has now passed, do you want to see that equipment still sitting in your house? No, you don't. Are there people waiting in a lineup to have that equipment? Yes, there are. So when we found out their problem was sanitizing, sterilizing this equipment, in cooperation with a few of these hospices, they found what they needed, and then we funded it so that they could take this stuff back in and put it back out, and it wasn't sitting in the front hall as a reminder that whoever that loved one is no longer there.
How has the pandemic affected your charitable donations, and what's your call to action to the community?
Death and dying is as much a part of life as birth. We need to help educate people that it's just part of the process of living, is ending. We need lots of financial support. We normally would have had 4 major fundraisers by this point in a year. We can't do black tie bingo galas, and we didn't do golf tournaments, and we didn't do comedy night, and we haven't been able to do the things that historically we did that generated focus, attention, and money. So the only thing we've done so far this year is we did the awesome auction, which, as I said to you, our friend was very kind in donating to. It was an online silent auction that ran for about a month and raised us over $20,000. $20,000 is a drip in the bucket. It doesn't do much of anything. We are planning on other COVID-type fundraising activities for 2021 because we don't know when it's going to be over and when we can actually go back to doing it.
And finally, Are you hopeful for the future?
I am always hopeful. I was raised by a very strong Scot, and tomorrow is always a better day. There is no bad days in life because it was a day. Every morning I wake up, it's another gift, and I just put on my backpack and keep on going. I am very hopeful.
Well, that does it for me in this week's episode of Operation Support Local. Thank you so much for all of your support. Thanks for the feedback. We've been getting wonderful feedback about the show. And if you have a story idea, I encourage you head over to rogerstv.com. In the meantime, stay safe and we'll see you next week.